Welcome to the Cultured Idiots podcast, number 4. And we've got Christian Fenning here as a guest only for this episode. Well, I mean, you might come back in the future. Possibly.
I'd love to.
But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So follow-up question from last time was, what are your Myers-Briggs types? We needed time to research this. So we researched it and we'll tell you our answers. Ethan, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. So I'm actually pretty familiar with the Myers-Briggs test. I think I take it probably 2 times a year for the last 4 years, just for fun. So I lean between, I go back and forth between an ENTP and an ENFP. And I'm 57 to 64% extroverted. So ENTP is, I'm not super familiar with, so it's extroverted thinking. I'm not sure what the N or the, and then P is perceiving. So okay. T and F, so thinking and feeling. So I think basically the older I've gotten and hopefully the more I've matured, I think I've gotten more empathetic, which is why I'm a feeler sometimes too. And then as far as other than that, I don't know a lot without just verbatim reading through the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, we probably could have guessed that. From what? You.
That I can't remember much more?
No. I mean, that's what your personality type is.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So, was there anything else you wanted me to elaborate on?
No. I mean, unless you have anything else. Is there anything else about your personality that you want us to know? Besides what we already know.
ENFP is a little more eccentric than the ENTP.
Yeah.
So I guess you guys can decide whether I'm an eccentric person or not. I'm a weird guy. That's basically it.
Nice. Well, I guess I'll go next. No, that was good. I am an ISTJ-A. So 76% introverted, 66% observant, 67% thinking, 60% judging, and 75% assertive. So that's the dash A. Basically what it means, and I did read through the description, it's honestly kind of scary how real it is. I never really done a lot of personality tests, but it's pretty true to my personality. So some of the descriptors were calm and practical, creating and enforcing order, very responsible, honest and direct. These are all the positives. I didn't really look at the negatives, obviously. And then reluctance to give up responsibility even when overburdened. I feel like that describes me pretty well. I think I was talking about this the last time. Is I'm the embodiment of the Thanos meme where he's fine, I'll do it myself. I guess that's kind of a negative thing, but yeah, it was very interesting. Glad that he did it. So
nice.
Yeah.
Robbie, what's yours?
I'm a conscientious objector. No, I didn't take the test. I'm not a huge fan of personality tests. I would love to hear what people guess about me. I think that's probably be far more entertaining and maybe even more useful than what the test might tell me. I mean, just telling people or asking people for what they think I am or what they notice in my behavior probably be a lot more accurate than what I think about my behavior, what I've observed, because although I'm with me all the time, I don't pay attention to what I do.
I'm sure that would fit one of the Myers-Briggs tests.
I'm sure there's a personality test for that. I don't know. I can tell you about my personality for hours and hours, and I love to talk about myself, but specifically, I don't have any personality type. You?
Yeah, I just took it. I think I've done this once before, but I just didn't actually care. So I didn't remember what my last one was. I'm a turbulent mediator, which means I'm an INFP-T. Diplomat. And I'm mostly introverted. I'm 74% introverted, which is not surprising. I'm pretty quiet until you find, some sort of I guess conversation that I enjoy talking about, then I can talk your ear out for a really long time. But otherwise, I'm usually pretty quiet. So
I'd say that fits.
That does fit.
I do remember the ENFP is the most introverted, extroverted personality type, whatever that means. So it's like whatever the personality. That's the one. Like I guess me. I'm an extrovert, but I also really, really appreciate my alone time.
Yeah, you said that you were like, 60 or 70% extroverted?
Like 57 to 65%.
Yeah.
So I could go like a whole week without talking to anyone. I wouldn't necessarily enjoy it, but like I don't need like people to necessarily give me energy though. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah,
I do love people though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Well, next we have some questions for some specific people. So these are based on our intro videos that we did. Last time we had some questions for Joey. So this time we got some questions for me and for Robbie.
You go first.
I will go first. Okay, so questions for me. What's a project that I've worked on the most and that I'm proud of? So for this, I worked on a lot of projects, but one of them that came to mind was a project that I did when I was in college, and I was an intern at a great agency called Chapter and Verse, and it was downtown, and so I had to, park in the parkade and walk in. I did it, I think, like most of the week when I was going to school. So I spent quite a bit of time there. Really awesome people, really great opportunities. But I did get to work on this project. It was basically solely my project. I mean, I had a little bit of leadership, a little bit of oversight, but it was pretty much up to me, like what I wanted to do with it. And it just turned out like really awesome. And I'll show you guys a little bit of the work that I did because it's easiest to explain. But basically, it was for a luncheon that was at the Performing Arts Center downtown. Pretty big event. And so we had to do a lot of promotional materials. So we did like a bunch of posters. We did some promotional stuff that they actually had at the event. So we had like some programs that had like a little snack bar in there. And that was one of their like event sponsors.
So adorable.
And then we had like lunch bags. So the whole thing was like, it's a luncheon to talk about this charity, and people make donations when they're there at the event.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Impact, and they have videos that they show, and they have speakers that come up, and they have all this like food that is branded. They give out like mugs that had stuff inside them, like just like different promotion materials inside them, like goodies. And it was just an awesome event, and I had a lot of fun making all of the swag. And I think it went pretty well. I got to go to the event, which was awesome, and see all of that work.
Did you create a fidget spinner?
No.
I definitely saw one on there. I just wanted to know.
Yeah. So that was one of our like when we were presenting to the client, we had to make a deck, what they call a deck. So it's like a presentation document that you make where you basically propose your ideas for the different promotional materials. And so we had like, this was one of them. We had like some ideas for things that we'd actually have at the events. We had like an idea to have like the different colors in the logo associated with these like candles. And so we did like a mock-up of what that would look like. And then we actually had those at the event. So, some different stuff like that, just to kind of show like, this is what our idea is. We had like some ideas for activities that people could do at the event. And it was cool. Yeah. Just like being there and seeing all of that work, projected and kind of along with this, they had some videos that the agency that I was entering at produced. And so I got to go on those video shoots and kind of see like what their process was, and, all of their like super fancy camera gear, and, it was like super professional. And one of those videos.
Camera gear?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So like one of the videos was one where they basically went around and interviewed doctors at Sacred Heart and some of the victims of like the Freeman shooting. And so, the Jensen family. And so I got to go and meet Gracie and her family and, hear their story. And it was really awesome. But it was weird. I'm like just like sitting behind the camera, like, yes, this is all very cool. All this equipment is very fancy and expensive. And on some of them, like they had the like electronic like sync clappers, the one that have like little like time code on there and everything. And so they're like, do you want to do this part of it? And I was like, yeah. Nice. But it was just a really great experience, and I had a lot of fun, and probably my favorite project.
That's awesome.
To date. I don't know. Maybe it'll be something cool in the future where I'll be like, yeah, this is definitely the best. But for now, yes. Another question. So what happens if I don't listen to 8 hours of music each day?
Do you actually listen to 8 hours of music?
I try to. Like, there's certain days where, like, if I'm in a lot of meetings and I just don't have the ability to, then obviously, like, it's fine. But I do value listening to music. It's how I motivate myself to, like, get work done. So I would say, like, if I don't listen to music, I'm not as focused and kind of scatterbrained and just, like, not as productive. But yeah, I do listen to quite a bit of music. I enjoy the, like, Spotify Wrapped things where they like give you your stats. And I know we talked about this the other day, but I was somewhere, I think I had slightly more time listening to music than I did last year. And it wasn't like a ton. I think it was like 90,000 minutes or something like that, which is a lot. But I feel like when I'm listening to music, I don't just like have it playing in the background. I'm like actively like, I'm trying to find new music, and I'm appreciating, like, I'm actually actively listening to music.
Can you listen to music while you study?
Yes.
You can? Okay. Because music helps me, like, it motivates me too.
Yeah.
But when I'm studying or have to, like, read something,
it's so distracting.
I can only listen to, like, I go on YouTube and I type in music to help me study, and it's literally just, like, sound waves.
Yeah.
Like, I can't listen to, like, lyrics, because then I just get super...
Yeah, I noticed that too. I think there are very few pieces of music which I could study to. It's weird. It's so strange how some people, they can listen to heavy metal while studying, or they can listen to really, really, really loud music while studying. But for me, if it's louder than soft piano, my brain is just constantly looking to that.
I can't listen to folk music though.
Nice.
It just can't be super upbeat.
Yeah.
When I do my studying, I usually listen to like classical music. Like the majority of my school playlist is actually movie soundtracks. Yeah, I love listening to movie soundtracks. Just like they have some really good movie soundtracks out there that they don't have lyrics, but you can just like get enthralled in like the epicness of the scene. Like you remember like Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Oh, I love listening to that. And like battle scenes, and you're just like in there and like, I'm so motivated to read all this book that's, about communication. And
every time the Battle of Pelennor Fields comes on with the charge of the Rohirrim, I can hear the cries. Like I can hear it. And I get so like, I get teary eyed sometimes. I'm just like, I'm so moved. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, man. 8 hours of music though. That's a lot. I listen to a lot of, at work, I listen to a lot of like sermons, but then also audiobooks. I listen to music too, but 8 hours of music, my brain would be fried after that. I don't think I could do that.
It varies from day to day. So, it might be a lot of like classical music. It might be, if I'm in like a really aggressive mood, it might be, some more hard hitting stuff. Yeah. It might be like, some like cyberpunk, like, some like beats if I like need to get some stuff done. Another really interesting thing that I saw the other day was they suggested like having a playlist specifically for, like if you're studying, like having a playlist specifically for that. And like you only listen to that specific music when you're studying. And so when it's kind of like your brain recognizes, oh, like this music is going to be associated with studying. So then when you listen to that music, it's easier to like get into the flow of studying.
That's so interesting. That's what my brain actually, it's weird. I don't use it for studying, but for a long time I discovered this album of lo-fi, and it was on my Wrapped for sure for Spotify, but this album of lo-fi, and every single time I got back from work, I listened to this album from the beginning, and it just helped me associate winding down from work with that album, and so eventually it became like it helped me wind down.
You know, in The Office, the Altoid.
Yeah.
What's that study called?
Pavlov's dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yes.
No, but every time
I love that.
like the sound waves, it always like it's just like subconsciously, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I have to get in the like studying zone.
It's just the association eventually becomes causation, where eventually, like, if you associate this behavior with this stimuli, then eventually that stimuli will cause this behavior.
Because if I don't listen to that and it's like something important, then I have to like really study for it. I literally I don't get like a panic attack, but it's like, oh crap, where are my headphones? Like I need
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. We could talk about music for hours.
We could. We totally could.
What's your advice to your younger self?
So, yeah, this is a hard question. I feel like I've learned a lot of things, but when I think about like things that I've learned, it's not necessarily like really apparent. They're more like life skills. I would say a piece of advice. I would say don't be so serious. Why so serious? Don't be so serious.
Why so serious?
Just like, yeah, just you know, have fun with like the things that you're doing. Don't be so focused on like, you know, I have to do this. I have to get this thing done like right now, or I have to do this because if I don't do this, you know, like just being really caught up with work and, you know, you get to the point sometimes where it's like, that's all that you're doing. And it's just kind of like, you're just like grinding. So I would say, yeah, just like, you know, take, I wouldn't say like more, like take more time off, but just like take more time, not just like going 100 miles an hour and, take some time to smell the roses, I guess.
Smell the roses.
Yeah. To appreciate where you are, to really appreciate like how awesome it is. The process, not just the goal, but like the process is actually really a blessing too. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess mine is kind of the same thing. I'm very, it might be hard to see because of my ADD, but I'm very type A with certain things. And I think this is something that I've just really learned probably within the last like 24 months is just like embracing like where we are now, where am I now? So it'd always be like, oh, I need to check the boxes. And it's like, I have this career goal and this career goal. And it's like, I used to be a very impatient person. And my boss / mentor was like, Ethan, you just need to like enjoy the ride. Like literally he gave me like a sticky note and he bought me a book and gave me a sticky note for like just random, like 3 months ago, and he wrote down like enjoy the ride. Like life is a journey, enjoy the ride. So I just like put that in the book, and I think it's in my Bible now. Every time I open up, it's like just enjoy the process. Like enjoy your life.
It may be the only hippie mantra that I can actually get behind.
And then I was
Life is a journey, dude.
I was watching a sermon by Francis Chan, and he was on vacation, and he was sitting out on the ocean, just like having like silence and solitude, and just praying and like reading the Bible. And he was just looking at it like I was looking at it like the vastness of the ocean, and I was just like, God, what's my calling? Like, what's my purpose here? Like, what do you want me to do? And then he just started laughing, and he's like, I don't know what I'm going to have for dinner tomorrow night. Why do you really think God wants us, like expects us or wants us to know what we're going to do for like the remaining time we have on earth? He's like, I don't even know what I'm going to have for like lunch today. Why do I need to know what I'm going to do for my life other than live for the kingdom of God? Yeah. And then it's just kind of been that process of really like being content in the season and just like enjoying what we have now.
Yeah, and I think people, and this includes me too, but like people just spend way too much time and effort and like mental stress trying to figure out like what to do with their life. And I'm not saying that like you shouldn't think about those things, but it shouldn't be like something that, you know, is like keeping you up at night and that you're just like, you're just like super stressed about all the time. Like, what am I going to do for a career? What am I going to do for this? What, you know, like just like go with the flow and enjoy where you are, because it's not gonna last forever. And you're gonna look back on those times and you'll be like, wow, those are actually pretty good times.
Yeah, and I think that kind of ties in with that. I mean, it's not new to it's not new to this culture and it's not new to now in time, but for a long time, for as long as humans have been around, there's been this idea that gain is godliness, that you can that having a good life in checking boxes and reaching career goals, that is somehow meritorious. And whereas it is a good thing, like it's a nice thing to have those goals reached, and I think we should all be living our life to the best as we can, like trying to make goals and reach them. We shouldn't ever be discontented because of that. And I think it's a really easy thing to be discontented because we're not where we want to be.
Yeah.
How about you, Christian? Got any thoughts on the matter?
You seem like a very wise man.
No, that is not accurate.
But actually, that's what a wise man would say.
Very humble.
Keep on proving our theory. Just keep talking.
No. I just think waiting and I mean, I've always been someone who's kind of just go with the flow. I've never been someone who's super organized. You can ask every single person who knows me even the slightest bit. I'm not an organized person. I'm always go with the flow. And so but I think there is a value in even going with the flow to not be so caught up in whatever you're doing that you kind of completely miss the moment itself. There's moments, not to quote The Office again, but where he talks about, I wish you knew you were in the good old days before you left them.
Oh my God.
Didn't we talked about that last time?
Yes, great minds think alike.
There you go. And so do ours.
That's true. We're not great minds. But
Perfect replacement for Joey.
that's true.
But it's just like one of those times where it's like, you're in the moment and then you get past it and you're just man, I wish I had paid attention more during that moment. Like I wish, there's those moments where like that was awesome, seeing like my brother's now moved out in college. He lives 10 minutes from my house, but I never see him anymore. And like there's moments where I'm like, man, I really wish he was here. If he watches this, I will not admit this to his face. But yeah, just like moments like that to where, man, I wish I just would have taken the opportunity to live in that moment just a little bit longer to experience it before life and God kind of has moved us on and brought us into this new time. It's like, the same thing with kind of just growing old and getting older of like, man, I just wish those Saturday mornings where you could just get up and go and sit on the couch and watch cartoons. That was awesome.
To live childhood again, but to have the values and knowledge now to appreciate it.
Exactly.
Actually, Charles Dickens, I don't know if I've already quoted this. I feel like I'm having a deja vu moment. Charles Dickens said something about that in A Christmas Carol. He said, I wish I could have all the license of a child, but be man enough to know its value.
Yeah.
Like to have that ability of a child and to be able to have those experiences, but to know how precious it is.
Yeah.
That'd be truly a blessing.
I actually really appreciate that. That's in the last, I think, probably 10 months, I've really tried to embrace my childlike self. Which is like...
I can tell.
I legitimately, and it's great. It's like, I feel like I'm like certain aspects of me, I'm like 40, like a 40-year-old man, and then other aspects, I'm like a 10-year-old. Which I guess then adds up to about how old I am now. Oh wait, no, it doesn't. I'm not very good at
What?
So if you take the
You're totally... You're like 50 years old. I think he looks 50.
I look 50. Oh my gosh. That defies every type of like Asian stereotype. Normally I'll look young until I'm 50, and then once I hit 50, then you look like you're like 70.
Really?
Yeah, I guess isn't it like Asians, like they look really young and then all of a sudden it's like boom.
So
I'm not racist.
Ming-Na Wen on Mandalorian, she was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
She's like 57.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's crazy.
She's the voice who did Mulan, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the good one.
Okay.
The good Mulan.
Good. I haven't seen the new one. I'm not super interested.
The good one.
The good one. All right.
I really appreciate my ability to still be a child though at heart. Like I go to the extent of sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll listen to VeggieTales soundtrack.
That is just a good habit to have.
That's just normal nostalgia.
Honestly, one of my favorite hymns of all time is that song from Madame Blueberry, the "Thank You God for This Day." I mean, I love that one. It's great.
You know what I love to listen to? The PlayStation 2 startup sound.
Really?
Yes. Because like I had a PS2 like back in the day,
Yeah.
and like I played it all the time, and like I loved it. Nikki J, he actually has a really funny video on like the PlayStation startup sounds, and he equated like the PlayStation 1 to being like a look at the future, and then the PlayStation 2 is like dark towers, and we're like descending into darkness, and either you get like the nice like zen glowing lights, or you get like the red darkness. So like you have to format your PlayStation 2 because like it got corrupted.
Well, yeah, I think there is a value though of like being willing to reflect on your childlikeness, because even Jesus commends the children, you know, when the disciples, the children are trying to gather around Jesus, and disciples are kind of shooing them off, and he's like, don't, just leave them be. Like they're children, they're loving, and they're innocent. They're in this state of like,
He who does not come to the kingdom as a
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But then also compare that to what Paul says about when I was a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child.
Yes.
So, I mean, obviously, we're not commanded to be a child in every respect, although I would say in innocence and in how genuine a child is, being that genuine in everything they do, and being so completely taken up in what they're doing at the time. They don't actually... I have never seen a child who's distracted by multiple things. Like every child below the age of 7 is just completely, they're completely invested in what they're doing.
Come on, no normal, like decent adult conversation is going to ask you what's your third favorite dinosaur, but I want to talk about my third favorite dinosaur. Am I the only one?
My third... I don't actually have a list. I feel out of the loop.
But no, we're supposed to have childlike faith, and I guess I am somewhat of a nostalgic person. So I look back at like, you know, when I was a kid and my faith, and it's like I loved Jesus. You know, I wholeheartedly, passionately loved Jesus when I was 5 years old. The same way that I loved when my parents said I could have dessert after I ate my vegetables at dinner. It's like there's no care in the world. You don't really have doubts. And it's just like it's just complete, just like.
I still love Jesus like I love ice cream.
It's childlike faith without ever. It's not like when you're 5 years old. It's like, do you think evolution's real, or do you think like did Jesus really live a completely like you didn't have to go through theology? It's just like I love Jesus and I love ice cream.
So in a lot of respects, the relationship with God as a child is far deeper than the relationship with God as an adult, because like you say, there's little temptation as a child to be caught up in what is the Trinity really like, or you can't be caught up in predestination versus free choice. You can't be caught up in these very strictly theological discussions.
I feel like IQ is like way ahead of your age, but for most of us, no.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would go deeper so much with. I think you could go along the lines of more complete, because as a child, you're like, anything that comes with Jesus, I love it. You know, I think
more relational, at least. Less contractual.
And then
I love Bible Man.
Oh my gosh, that's an old one. But like as you get older, I think there is an ability to have a more realization of what you're loving with Christ once you delve into that theology of like, oh, this part of Christ is so awesome that maybe you didn't understand as a child, but because you had that maybe beginning instance of like, I love Jesus and everything that comes with him, you then can continue.
Yeah, perhaps as a child you may love God more fully, but as an adult you understand his love more fully. Because as a child I didn't really understand my own depravity until I became a man.
I guess I wouldn't say love God more fully when I was a child versus now. I think maybe this is too cut and dry, but I think maybe it's just part of like the sanctification process. It's like we're all children, and then the older you get, and the more we can comprehend and conceptualize Jesus and the Bible. It's kind of like a process. You still have to hold on to this. The older we get, and the quote unquote wiser we get, we still have to remember here. So it's like you grow and you have more understanding of things, but then you still have to remember this aspect of it.
Yeah. All right, Robbie, I've got some questions for you.
Yeah. I'm ready.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Should we colonize other planets? That's saying if we have the means to, should we?
Okay. Yeah. So
Come on, C.S. Lewis talked a lot about this, so you should have some fairly well-developed opinions.
I'm very flattered that whoever asked this question thought I was an authority on the matter. I kind of wish I could go to the Joey's questions of, walks on the beach.
Oh, simple stuff? No.
Whose dog is that?
No.
But no, I actually wrote down some of my thoughts. I would probably say no. As far as I can see, there are really only two reasons for doing so. And one is to explore space for its own sake. Like to really just like, you probe the depths of the ocean for its own sake. There's not a whole lot of money in discovering marine life down there, but you do it for its own sake. And as a Christian, it would be to discover the mysteries of creation. It's a beautiful thing, and it's very noble and rather poetic.
There's dinosaurs,
but
there are some weird, creepy things down there, though.
Yeah, that's a different discussion. But when it comes to space, most often, it's really just like the reasoning used by Elon Musk is just for the preservation of humankind, or just the perpetuation of us, because those people who have a little bit more foresight recognize that even if they don't believe in climate theory, they recognize that everything has a clock on it, an internal clock, and this universe will run down, but planets will run down much more quickly. So, as a means to preserve our species, I actually don't think that that's a good one. I mean, it's a very emotive reason. Like, people really want to preserve their own species and preserve progeny, but there's very little philosophical backing to it. Because if preserving your own species for the sake of preserving your own is just not right. Like, to explore space, you're just sharing the human virus with the rest of space. I don't see how that's necessarily an improvement. I don't know.
Aliens a disservice by preserving our COVID.
Actually, that would be a different question. Like, if there were other aliens, I would be even more emphatic about saying no. But I mean,
in this universe, no.
People can't manage this planet very well. Like, we can't agree on how to do this planet. So why do we think that it'll be honky-dory when we go to others?
Even if we were able to, I just don't think it would go well.
Yeah, it really just, the idea that we should go to other planets stems from the belief that humanity is something worth sharing. Like, just being human is somehow a virtue.
Well, it's a good thing this is just a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know. Elon Musk, they're working on it. Yeah.
That's true.
I'm very flattered. That you guys would ask me that, but I don't know why. Because I think out of the four of us, I actually have the least amount of scientific understanding.
Ready for the next question?
I know almost exactly when I would want to be born. So I would want to live at the turn of century England. I would want to be born around 1895 to 1905. That way I could go through both world wars. I think it would be a severe honor to go through both world wars and to experience that. But then also, people just lived so much more fully back then. They actually were connected to reality, and yet they still had a great deal of the advancements which make life both comfortable and convenient, but aesthetically too. I'm just a huge fan of turn of the century England. I really enjoy both the style, the lifestyle, and the behavior. I think that's probably where I fit in most. Somebody told me that I actually belong in a more romantic period, like, Napoleonic times. But I don't know.
Very interesting.
Nice.
I definitely feel like a man out of his time most of the time.
Nice. I think that's all the questions that we have for you.
Oh, sweet.
We do have some questions.
Oh, wait, no. There's one question that was asked about what I think of your...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I actually really, really hate it because it's so good. Like, it's perfect. That's why I can't stand the caricature of it.
It's your face.
Yeah.
Well, your face.
It's not your fault. I forgive you.
Look at it, Robbie.
Yeah.
You look beautiful just the way you are.
Thanks.
Yes, you do.
Man, I wish that was a song.
It is. Oh, wait. Bruno Mars, right?
Yeah.
2009, 10. That's my face.
Yes, it is. You ready, Ethan?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Interesting.
where did you grow up? Any favorite childhood places?
Where did I grow up? So I am a Korean immigrant from South Korea who is just trying to live the American dream. So I was born in Incheon, South Korea, and I was adopted when I was 6 months old. Lived on, I guess, North Spokane, which is more in town from here.
Mm-hmm.
We're in Colbert, Washington, for all of you people outside of all of our fans from outside of Washington State. So I grew up on Indian Trail, 5 Mile area. As far as favorite childhood places, I would say my parents' cabin on the Ponderay River. We'd go up there all the time over the summer. And it's like a wood cabin, super, old school. We'd go in the river. We'd fish, just hang out. I would say that's probably one of my favorite childhood places. I also really liked going to the carousel with my dad and brothers when my mom needed a break from us boys, including my dad, I'm sure. So it's just like, we're going to the carousel. It's like, sweet. And then we'd always try to throw like the coins into that scary clown
yeah.
thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic Ethan's childhood.
Nice. So, what are your favorite philosophical topics? I think they mentioned Kantian ethics.
Yeah, so this question is actually more of an inside question / joke from Buddy Moen. So
Calling him out.
calling him out. So the reason he asked this is because I know absolutely nothing about philosophy. I'm an abstract thinker, but then can't go any deep. It's like I have a lot of ideas on like super philosophical topics, but I just don't really care.
You're saying you just can't?
I can't go any further than that. Like I just don't want to. It's not willingness to want to.
All right.
Unless it's like more like religion or theology, then I can.
Practical philosophy.
So basically, he asked this because I actually have my minor in philosophy from the Eastern Washington University.
Nice.
Does this say something about Eastern Washington University or just philosophy in general?
Or maybe just Ethan.
So yeah, I got my minor in philosophy and I had no idea what I was doing. I actually had to use, Buddy helped me write just copious amounts of papers, and my neighbor, she, super smart, all of her siblings are pre-med or are already in medicine, like 9 girls, 1 boy. And they all went to Whitworth. Or are going to Whitworth, and they're all going into medicine, like becoming like doctors. Or I think the guy's a civil engineer. The one boy is a civil engineer. But they literally like both helped me study for like a SFCC level 200 class that I was failing.
Nice.
And then the reason I majored in philosophy is because while I was looking at my credits, the one that required the least amount of credits out of all the like 25 minors was philosophy. And I'm like, my time is money. My time is money, and I don't want to take another class. So I minored in philosophy, and I had no idea what I was doing. I can't tell you who Kant was. I can't tell you who Socrates. I don't know Socrates versus
Aristotle.
I literally can't give you any type.
Just the 2 most famous ones.
I can't give you any type of
The Euthyphro dilemma? Nothing?
nothing.
Cartesian.
No.
Cartesian's an adjective. Descartes.
So it's one of my favorite philosophical topics. I would say it's anything that I can spin to make it sound philosophical. It's like, what's the meaning of why we're here?
If it's neither here nor there, where is it?
It's not you nor I. Basically, just say anything and say nor in between nor and I. Or why. Why are we here? Yeah. What's the purpose of Ethan's existence?
Tacos nor burritos.
I took a philosophy class. It was actually very, very interesting. Not the usual community college philosophy class, but one of the things I did notice was that at a certain point, if I just make my discussion responses or my essays vague enough, they will pass me. It's almost as if at a certain point the professor just can't read your can't read like how abstract and how completely verbose you're being, and so he just checks for spelling and gives it an A.
Nice.
Yeah, the thing with philosophy though, I did retain this part. This is what I ran with as far as how I passed all the classes. When I finally realized that there's no actual answer to philosophy, like a lot of the questions and topics. That's where it's like, ding, light bulb. I literally can just talk about nothing.
Yeah, because
and come up with no conclusion, and then just find like keywords to make it sound like I'm trying.
Yeah. I mean, because philosophy is so literally the father of sciences, because philosophy is the love of wisdom. And then once you actually figure out an answer, it becomes its own science. But philosophy is those questions which still haven't been answered, you know? So most of the questions which were plaguing philosophers that have been answered have become other things, like physics too. Like a lot of those people we thought were physicists and just scientists in general, or logicians, they were philosophers. Mathematicians. A lot of mathematicians were philosophers, and a lot of philosophers have been mathematicians. Like Descartes. You guys have heard of Cartesian coordinates. That's the most basic graphing system we use. It's just, this way is X, this way is Y. That's Cartesian coordinates. And Descartes is known for his famous statement, "I think, therefore I am," which he didn't actually say, just for the record. He didn't actually say that, but he's the one who's known for that philosophical proof.
The one thing, actually, it's kind of side note from that, which was interesting, is I had about 4 different professors from like SFCC, like I think 2 from SFCC and then 2 from the fall, 2 from Eastern, and a lot of philosophy majors or professors are atheists.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was they all had one thing that was in common, which was, this is my subjective, experience with just 4 professors, but they all had like a religious background, whether it was Catholicism,
Interesting,
or just Christianity, or some type of, major Western religion. And there was always something that had to make them question.
Yeah.
But they always, they all 4 of them came from like they had like they knew the truth, and they at one point in time did embrace some type of.
It reminds me of a lot of the warnings which Paul gives to Timothy, talking about those people who are so obsessed with needless genealogies and those questions, not actually asking for answers. They're not those who are ever learning, but never coming to a knowledge of the truth. That is modern philosophy in a nutshell, where those people who obviously do love learning, but they don't love the truth. They don't recognize the truth when they see it.
Yeah.
So it's really sad. I have friends like that too.
Yeah.
I do have a interesting thing. So when I was doing my personality test, I don't know if you came across that question or not, but there was a question in there where it was like, when I'm involved in philosophical conversations, like basically do I like kind of like tune out? Do I just like kind of like zone out during philosophical conversations? I feel like I do. And I don't know, I guess it's just a thing of my personality. I don't know if it's like necessarily a negative thing, but it did really remind me of like one of the questions that, well, it wasn't really necessarily a question. It was more of a vague statement that was intending to, the intent of it was to seem more like complicated and more intellectual than it actually was. And I'll read it because I think it was really funny. But basically, the question goes, I think a podcast about a more streamlined mind share between heaven and earth would really help us leverage the pseudo-religious and growth potential. Your initiative to get more innocuous ideas for good consensus is what we need to make a clear manifesto and suggestions to all us listeners.
Yeah, I figured out.
So basically, yeah. What?
My roommate asked that question.
Really?
Nice.
Oh my goodness. That
It was funny. I got a little chuckle.
Yeah, I read it and I realized at the end that it's not actually a question. By the end, you realize I was reading this question just for a statement. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Question.
Yes.
Enough about Ethan, more about you.
Let's talk about something physical and not metaphysical. How about that?
Physical.
Let's get physical.
What kind of food do you eat on a regular day? Christian, you want to start?
That's a good question. No, ironically, that's racist.
If you guys are listening to this and don't know who Christian is and aren't watching the visual, Christian has red hair. Just if you guys didn't know.
Just explaining the joke. It's less funny now.
What kind of food do I eat on a regular day? Just whatever's in the fridge. I mean, I'm not gonna go searching for it.
What's that?
I think my favorite type of food to find and eat on a regular day is leftovers. I love leftovers. If it's from a restaurant, if it's from what my mom made, it doesn't matter. If it's leftovers, I love it.
What about right unders?
What?
Right unders?
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Do you like right unders?
He's just preparing for one day. He'll have sons and daughters, and he needs to have his dad jokes ready. So, yeah.
Leftovers, right unders.
This is like that plane joke that you had last time. Remember the plane arms? We were talking. Okay, so Christian, I'll explain it for you so that you know. But basically, I was talking about jet lag, and he was asking if I had jet legs and plane arms.
I forgot.
Really? I'll never forget, Ethan.
These things are burned in my mind. Oh man.
That's terrible.
Nice. What about you,
Sorry,
Robbie?
I'm sorry.
What do you eat?
So generally, my diet consists of necessity, like just whatever is there. I'm not super picky, but consistently, I'll eat a lot of fried eggs or just cooked eggs in general. I live on a farm and an egg farm, so I have a constant supply of that, and I really like me some protein. So
How do you like your eggs? Like scrambled or easy?
you guys know that movie Forrest Gump? So you know that part when Bubba's talking about cooking shrimp and he's like shrimp gumbo, shrimp and chips. I am that for eggs. I know every way. Well, not every way. I can't quite devil an egg. But
You know how Gordon Ramsay cooks eggs?
I don't know. Probably better than me.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
I started.
So scrambling eggs. So basically, what you do is you have a pan and a nonstick pan, and you basically get a spatula that is round enough where you can you can mix the eggs and consistently stir it without leaving any egg on the sides of the nonstick pan. So basically, what you do is you put the eggs in there before you put it on the heat. Very clear distinction. And then you get it on the heat, like medium heat. And basically you go like 120 seconds on the burner, medium heat, and then 30 seconds off. So you don't want the eggs to get too hot. But you basically, you put butter in with the eggs, and then you basically just constantly stir it. So you never let it sit, but you just like constantly stir it.
Yeah.
You don't add any like seasonings like salt or pepper to it before like it's done. Because if you do add that, it'll like turn gray and watery and it gets all disgusting. But basically, you just like keep stirring it. Don't let it get too hot. And then when it's kind of in like a custard consistency, that's when you take it off and it's done. So it's like kind of creamy, bright yellow, not like gray.
Yeah.
But that's like the perfect consistency, and it is like
Interesting.
See, I've mastered the art of frying an egg with the best quality for the least effort, and that is olive oil, because I love using butter, but olive oil doesn't burn if you forget about it for a couple of minutes.
No, it doesn't. But butter also helps it not to burn.
No, but if you like, there's the thing is, so you want to put the pan on and you heat it up right before you throw the eggs in. And if you put the butter in, then it will burn.
But I was saying don't do that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Am I the only one who's expecting like a punchline or something after you explain that whole thing? I was like,
No,
this has
no,
to be
no.
like a joke or something.
No.
That's like I was like waiting, and there's like
it was okay.
I get it, yeah, but I was
started
like,
making Gordon Ramsay scrambled eggs, and after I did it, they literally looked like cottage cheese.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is weird. Are they cooked all the way? Which they were. It's
They
just
were.
consistency. I will never make scrambled eggs
They're like literally perfect.
a different way other than
Really?
that. It's
Yes.
changed-
I'll make you some, and then you'll be like, this is actually really good.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Which one of you is most likely to run for president?
I say Ethan.
Yeah, I would say either Ethan or Robbie. I think it's a tie in my mind.
I thought about this, and I was like, who's the group? I didn't think Christian was going to be here. I was like, there's no way.
It is a different question though between who would actually like win as president. I feel like they would both run, but Ethan would win.
So I actually
offense.
used to want,
True.
I used to want to go into state, kind of, city, politics, be like a state representative, because I have a lot of like family friends that are in politics here in Spokane, and I think it was purely just like God's sovereign hand that completely like turned me away from that. And now I just don't. I just have completely disassociated myself with politics. I still am very aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
I voted for Trump. I'm
They're coming after you, then.
I'm a capitalist.
So they can't. He's Asian.
Yeah, I actually can't legally become president because I wasn't born in the U.S. of A.
Well, that does change things. I guess it's me then.
He went to Robbie.
Didn't Obama do that?
Now we're going back to the conspiracy theory question. No, yeah, actually, I was gonna say that I probably would be the one because,
Really?
yeah, not actually because I want to, but only because I'm very argumentative and kind of political. And I've had multiple people actually tell me that I should. So
I actually feel like I can see you working more in the background.
Yeah, like
I don't think
one
you.
more
I don't.
order.
I don't think I could see you actually doing that because I don't know if you would want all of the criticism.
yeah, well,
Maybe I'm wrong.
let's see if I can, apply for a job at Dominion Software and figure out what I can do.
Yeah, figure it out. No, I can see you being like someone's like campaign advisor, like really.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if would you want like the type of just like criticism that like Donald Trump or Joe Biden's gotten on a regular.
You know what? I don't know about criticism because
Got any dirt?
I already. Yes, plenty. No, I live on a farm. No, just kidding. I don't actually. I couldn't say what it would be like because I haven't experienced it. But in general, unless I have rapport with somebody, I generally don't care what they think. So if death threats, I would actually like that because it kind of tells me. Hear me out, guys. It tells me people have said throughout history that you're not doing the right thing if you're not making enemies.
Making waves.
Yeah, so like if you're making waves, that means you're actually doing something. So I would actually be comforted by
Hence the inappropriate questions that have been directed towards Ethan.
Yes. Good work, Ethan.
Oh, man. I guess this is kind of a similar question. There's a lot of alien and space questions.
Back to president.
This is definitely not the last one. So
I actually have a really good answer.
I do too. Elon Musk.
Elon Musk? Well, the question is if you had to elect one person.
He's already an alien, so he can't count.
Yeah, right. He would be able to relate with them. Also, he'd be like on their same wavelength.
Okay,
I feel
so
like.
My first answer, it really depends. But like, okay, so if we want a representative to aliens, my first answer was going to be Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
So my second answer, after I thought it through, was actually Jeff Goldblum. Because nobody can look at Jeff Goldblum, and if he's the only representative of humanity we have, they cannot look at him and think that we are anything but a very fun-loving, peaceful, quirky bunch of dudes. Like, I'm pretty sure Jeff Goldblum
They
cares.
probably want to like study him
yeah.
to be like, how is this level of quirkiness even possible?
I didn't think of this question. I didn't ponder it at all. But after like reading it and then listening to you, my first instinct was Adam Sandler.
What? Adam Sandler? Like Waterboy?
Yeah.
Oof, I don't know if I could second that. Oh man.
Why?
Just like the broiest bro.
Yeah. What do you think, Christian?
I have no idea. Like I couldn't. Like I just think people are so diverse. Like I don't know if I would want to pick. Like and like as a. I guess you
Why
would say
would
as
you
a
have to
believer.
Yeah.
As a believer, I want to pick like a smart theologian or someone like that. But then like,
Jesus.
well, he would have created them, so it doesn't matter. But I don't know. I know that's kind of like a cop out answer, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, what do you guys think about this movie?
Man,
Christian, I know you have a lot of opinions. So
I have a few.
I'm interested. What are your opinions, Christian? I'm interested.
My opinions on The Last Jedi are
That's the last one, right?
no, it's the middle of the three.
Oh. Yeah, that's not the one I thought.
It's the one that basically is universally hated by almost every single person who has ever watched it. Except for like
It's
people who are 10 years old or younger.
yeah, so like it seems to me like it's universally not hated, but it's universally divisive because there are those who like it, I think mostly for its strong statements or they call subversions of the story, but then there are those who dislike it because it's just a badly written story. So it's kind of like, yes, it was subverting, as in I was constantly questioning why I was there, but it wasn't necessarily a well-made film. Although it was pretty pretty to look at. It was a beautiful.
I love the cinematography. I don't think the film itself is totally solid. I don't like the writing. There's a lot of characters that I don't like. But I would say as a creative piece of work, I like it, and I like the cinematography.
Yeah.
Historically, it is one of the worst fight scenes ever in film.
It's pretty bad. If you like slow down the fight scene with the Praetorian guards, like
It is so
it's pretty bad because they're like, you can see them in the background, like with their spears, like waiting, and then they like go in.
Or just doing flippy, just continuing to flip or like just spin it. And at one point, there's a weapon which disappears because if he had it in his hand, he would have been able to kill the main character. Whoopsie. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty sad.
So my thoughts are, I think it's an enjoyable film. It's a Star Wars film, but does it add to the wider enjoyment of the whole entire experience? I don't think so. Beautifully done, but I think there's it basically when they made it, they're like, all those things that we set up in the last movie. Yeah, let's not do most of those. And then they even did that with the next movie where it's like, everything we introduced in that last one, everyone seemed to hate it. So let's ignore it and pretend we never did.
And actually, that's kind of what I think that's my main complaint with the film as a storytelling piece. As a solo film, it might be okay. And again, when you're talking about the cinematography, absolutely beautiful, like really pretty. Like, I mean, just look at that. That's just really pretty the way it's set up. Oh yeah. But if you're talking about as it fits in with the other movies, just both movies in the same trilogy, because it takes what was set up and then it does absolutely nothing with it, and it only actually destroys plot threads. It doesn't really add new plot threads,
or at least good quality ones. It doesn't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're talking about Rose, that was a plot thread. It was certainly a plot thread. But anyway, I know I'm not actually
for Rose.
Yes, he comes down.
I was not a big Star Wars fan at all growing up. Actually, I just loved the lightsaber fights. I was a huge fan of lightsaber fights. Lightsabers are tight. I think they're super cool. I love sword fights. I think that's awesome. But I wasn't a huge fan of Star Wars specifically. And then the way people reacted about this movie was when I realized that, you know what? I don't care too much about this intellectual property, but it must be protected. Somebody has to do it, like somebody stand up for that guy.
Polar Express.
Yeah, so this video,
Love the soundtrack.
This video is pulled from a YouTube channel that I think is really awesome. It's called The Beauty Of, and they basically take movies and they like extract the really cool like cinematography bits and put it into a video. And it's cool to look at like, the visual storytelling medium in just the cinematography aspect.
Yeah.
And that's how I appreciate The Last Jedi.
I really wish that they could have had J.J. Abrams do the writing and then have Rian Johnson do the actual directing.
I don't think J.J. Abrams does good writing. You can look at his other films and you can kind of see that there are a lot of flaws with the way that he writes. His quote unquote mystery boxes. He likes to withhold a lot of information because he thinks that's a good plot element, but it isn't. And it really detracts from his movies.
I don't claim that he's a great writer, but I do think that he is not a good director.
So I would disagree. I think he's a good director in the terms of personality. A lot of times you look at directors, you either have like two like extreme opposites. You have like Stanley Kubrick, who's like he makes really good movies, but he's just like a terrible person and is super demanding of actors and not empathetic at all. And then you have people on the other side, like J.J. Abrams, where like he is like the nicest guy on set, takes feedback from everyone, is just like totally awesome. But then like the movies that he makes are kind of like meh.
Yeah.
So
I'd rather be the Stanley Kubrick, although I don't want to be super cruel. Yeah. I think Christopher Nolan, though, we're talking about directors.
Yeah, I think he strikes a good balance.
He could have fixed The Last Jedi. I want the Nolan cut. Hey, that's not fair. That was Hans Zimmer.
It's all of his movies, though.
In like Christopher Nolan.
I can't hear anything. What are they saying?
I'm trying to think of one that doesn't. No, it's actually just Inception. But if you're talking about like right after Inception, everybody liked using the horns because Hans Zimmer kind of coined it, and everybody's like, that worked. Yeah.